All right, let's talk about angles. We'll talk about naming an angle. Hopefully you're familiar with angles and what their appearance. Angles are made up of two rays that meet at a common endpoint. So they start at a common place and they go out from there. That common endpoint where they meet is called the vertex. Okay. Now, when we name an angle, we can name it several different ways. When you see an angle, typically you will have, sorry, okay. So let's say that this point here at the vertex is F. Okay, we can name an angle three different ways. We can name it either just by the vertex if there's no other angles attached to it. So we could call this angle F, and notice that little angle marker goes in front of it so that I know it's an angle. The other two ways I can name it is using all 3 points, but if you name it with all 3 points, you want to make sure that the vertex is in the middle of your letters. So I could name this AFO, and I could name it OFA. But notice with all of my names, the vertex, the middle point, is in the middle of the name. And it has to be in the middle of the name. So let's do an example down here. Give 3 different ways to name this angle. Now notice they tried to throw us off by throwing some extra points in here. Those points are not on the angle. One's inside and the other is outside, but they're not on the angle. Therefore, they cannot be part of the name. So the 3 ways we can name, remember the first way is by naming the vertex. The vertex is here. So we could call this angle P, or you can write out the word angle and then put P. The other way we can do it is by naming all 3 points and leaving the vertex in the middle of our name. So notice we also have point Q is on the angle, point R is on the angle over here. So we could name it QPR. We could also name it RPQ. As long as P is in the middle of the name, because that is the vertex, it has to be in the middle. Alright, so here's an example. It says to give an alternate name for angle 2. Now they numbered the angles, angle 1 and angle 2. Angle 2 is this opening here. So we're naming that angle. Now notice there are only 2 possibilities here. We can't call it angle B. The reason we cannot is because there's another angle there. If there's more than one angle at that point, you can't just call it angle B, because that could be either of the 2 angles. We have to be more specific if there are 2 angles attached to one another. We specifically want the angle that goes from D down to B and out to A. That's the specific angle we want. So that is what we would give for its name. Okay, so we have 2 possible answers here. We could name this angle DBA. Notice my endpoints of the angle are on the outside and the vertex is in the middle, as it should be. We can switch those letters around as long as B is in the middle. So we could also call it ABD. Again, B, the vertex, has to be in the middle. Those 2 ends can be on either side. So those are the 2 possible alternate names for angle 2.